Welcome back to the Naxxramas Raid Guide. In this video I'll be covering Noth the Plaguebringer, the first encounter of the Plaguewing. My name's Ciderhelm from TankSpot, and like the rest of these videos, these are intended for full raids rather than just for tanks, so feel free to repost them to your guild forums. Now you'll notice we're positioning in the back left corner here, and this is for a couple reasons. The main one is, in the other three corners, and you'll see this as you enter the room, there are bone piles. Throughout this encounter he's going to be summoning adds from these bone piles, and by positioning here these plagued warriors that are coming during the ground phase, my off-tank is going to be able to intercept both of them at the same time, and it makes it very easy for positioning. So as he picks these up before they get to the raid, he's going to make sure they're actually near Noth so AoE damage can bring them down. He's going to off-tank these for the duration of the encounter, and while a couple will die, he's going to be off-tanking several of them. If you're less confident in your off-tank's gear, it can help to have one or two people dedicated to bring these plagued warriors down. All that said, Noth himself does not hit very hard. He does have a curse that he applies. You want to make sure that curse comes off. If it's like the 40 men, I have to admit we actually have been decursing these and appropriately, so I don't actually know if this still wipes the raid, but if the curse goes through its duration, it can put a pretty nasty infection on players, and it spreads to other players, and if it's still as bad as the 40 man, it will wipe the raid pretty quickly because it's a spreading infection. But that said, you shouldn't have a problem making sure that comes off. It's not difficult. You're going to be dealing with that in the 25 man as well. The other reason we have him positioned here in the 25 man is because he will occasionally blink, and by having him right in the corner, he will occasionally blink right into a wall, and he'll be right next to the tank anyway. So it does make it easy to pick him back up. Not so much that picking him up is hard because the taunts do have a 20-yard range now, but by picking him up that close, if he's just a couple yards away, then your DPS, melee DPS in particular, can get right back on him. Now he has ported to the balcony, and this is a different type of phase. You're going to go through a couple of these, maybe 3 of these on your first kill here. And this first phase, while he's up in the balcony, he's summoned 2 Plague Champions. In the 25 man, this will be 4. We're going to kill these Plague Champions. They're single target damage. They've got a minor AoE component to them. But basically, if you're able to kill the gargoyles getting into this room and nobody's dead, you should very easily be able to handle these adds and have time to spare, as you can see here. I'm going to go ahead and pick these 2 up. And he's up on the balcony right now. Nobody can target him, so raid DPS is focused on these adds. During this time, you could also be killing off more warriors that were left up. This is the first of these phases. The next 2 of these phases become progressively harder. You don't want to hit a 4th phase after this. So he's going to port back down to the center here. The main other part of this encounter that I haven't discussed is the next 2 times he ports up to the balcony. I'm not sure if you're going to get a chance to see it here, so I'll go ahead and explain what would happen if you did get to that point, which you are likely to get to that point the first couple times you're doing this, depending on your raid DPS. While he's down here the first time, he's down for like a minute, maybe a minute and a half. The second time, he ports up to the balcony at that point, then he ports back down, as you've seen. This time he's actually down here for significantly longer than he was the first time. And then when he ports up to the balcony again, you'll get a few more adds, and I'll explain those in a second. And then he'll port down, and he'll be down here for a lot longer, like a good 3 minutes. So basically you have progressively more time to kill him, and hopefully you kill him before he goes up to the balcony a 4th time, because then you're going to be dealing with some crazy adds. So, that first time he went up there, we were dealing with the Plague Champions. The second time he comes up, you're going to get the Plague Champions, but you're also going to get Plagued Guardians. The Guardians are your focus fire target. They blink right into the raid. They're basically mages. They do arcane explosions. They have very low life, and they can be CC'd, so you want to make sure you handle that right away. You don't want to let them loose in the raid while your raid is focusing on the champions, for instance. If you make it to a 3rd phase, you're going to get a 3rd type of mob called a Plagued Construct. It'll do a swipe that does like 20k damage, but the swipe is, the amount of damage it does is divided between the number of people hit by it. So you actually do want to have, ideally, both of your tanks getting hit by it. Thank you for watching the Noth the Plaguebringer video. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to stop by TankSpot.com, regardless of whether you're a tank or not.